huge thanks to Qualcomm for the many years of partnership with them, letting us share their space here and making today's conversation possible. And I'm always excited to welcome to the stage folks from Qualcomm because they build a lot of the stuff that I love to use. We're going to talk about that in a second. And so here for a view from the top conversation is Qualcomm's, I want to get the full title right, it's a very good one, EVP and GM Technology Planning, Edge Solutions, and Data Centers for Qualcomm, Durga Malladi. Durga, welcome to the Axios stage. How are you?
Good.
Great to see you again.
All right.
So this is a good one. I need to use two hands for this one. One of my new favorite AI tools.
Okay.
These are the AI glasses, which I wear all the time now. And I love walking down the street and asking questions. Literally on my way to the train station today, as I was walking down the path and closer, I was asking, how tall is that mountain? What church is that? And why it's great to have a conversation with you about that is because you know how this works. So can you please tell me, give us some insights, like what is happening here and how does that speak to the future of where AI
Yeah, it's our chip inside. First of all, nice to see everyone over here. I'm glad that you actually brought out the AR glasses instead of a phone or a PC. Certainly a lot to talk about it. So, you know, there's a chip inside. It's kind of amazing to see that this can last like 24 hours or you have to charge it once in a while, but not really that much. There's spatial computing that occurs inside your glasses, but your glasses are not connected to the network. So when you ask a question, what am I looking at? Well, obviously you have a camera. You have two cameras there which actually capture the picture, but the processing, a limited amount of processing occurs on your glasses. The rest of it actually gets piped through your phone. So you still have your phone with you, you're kind of paired it towards it, and then you have any other connectivity which allows you to then run the rest of AI inference somewhere at the edge. But that's just the beginning. Ideally, what you really want is these glasses to be connected directly to the network.
So we started this conversation, I think, last year about how to pull all this technology away from massive data centers closer to where that happens. So like I'm now living, like wearing living proof of that. Tell us how that works a little bit more in a more important way than me just asking about mountains. Like
Sure.
what are the real use cases for that?
So I think there's a gradual shift in terms of the conversation of what can run in data centers versus what can run in devices today. If I were to just step back 1 year versus where we are today, most devices that you have around you, whether it's smartphones or PCs or glasses that we just looked at, and even some of the consumer IoT applications, most of them are capable of running AI inference directly on the devices without necessarily going to the cloud. And the use cases are emerging in different ways. It's primarily assistance, voice assistance, any other assistance on phones. But in PCs, most people are beginning to use them as to run either coding agents or using them for any kind of a code development. Or when it comes to anyone in the in the entertainment industry, for example, content creation and content generation, you can actually start using your AI workstations. Your PCs are becoming AI workstations. That's certainly a use case that we are beginning to see very clearly. It wasn't quite there about 1.5 years back, and I would argue that the whole trend started from about summer of last year onwards.
Right. How are enterprises deploying this? Like, how do companies use this? I know there were some use cases. Oh, I should use my mic here. I'm so obsessed with these glasses here. Give us a little bit more like specific examples. I know last year when we were here, this stuff is already being deployed. What I love about this kind of conversation is that it's not theoretical, it's real. And so I'd love more like real world applications so people can kind of begin to wrap their head around like what this actually looks like.
One of the biggest changes that we are seeing is in industrial applications. Whether it's like in the oil and natural gas sector, there's at least one specific deployment that we know of where you have connected cameras that do a lot of the localized processing, and based upon just the camera processing alone, they're able to increase the productivity of different kinds of KPIs that they're looking at. Surveillance is, of course, quite an easy example to actually give in terms of what is done. I mentioned code development and code generation in corporate enterprises. The last one that I would like to actually touch upon is when you think of overall industrial automation, there's a lot of use cases emerging in the manufacturing sector where this is being used for actual productivity increase. Bottom line, AI is gradually transitioning from within the CTO organizations into where a CFO can say, this is how I can see an actual difference to the bottom line by adopting AI into the processes.
And just what you're saying about this is it's less sort of the fancy, exciting, like, oh, it's a humanoid robot doing my laundry. It's like real applications that drive real value that are happening in businesses.
This is bread and butter work, which is something that's not easily seen, but it actually is a gradual process improvement by itself.
There was something you mentioned when we spoken before about hybrid AI, which I thought was fascinating. Tell us a little bit more about what that means and how it fits into this future.
It's part of my long title, as you mentioned. So the second half of the title is based on edge solutions in data center. But the real question, one of the questions to ask is, why in the world do you want to run any AI on devices at all? Isn't that what data centers are for? Why can't you just ship all the data over there, process the data? It's a natural question to ask, by the way. But the other way of answering that question is, why not? If you can run AI on devices, is there something that actually prevents you from doing that? But when you actually put it together, you realize that I don't think there's a binary answer of you either run it on the device or in the data center. The answer is both. Depends on the use cases. For instance, something that is far more personal and contextual, you might want to run it immediately and locally directly on the device. Physical AI is one of those instances where you might not even have the ability to have, first go all the way to the data center, process it, and then come back to you. Meanwhile, there's tons of enterprise workloads which can run very naturally in data centers. Bottom line, we see a continuum of computing and connectivity that actually occurs from the data center to the edge of the network, within the network in itself, all the way into the devices. You don't have to concentrate computing in just one specific location. It's distributed across the entire network, so you do have a far more intelligent hybrid AI architecture that emerges.
And like, why not use the computing process? Like, I have a chip in my pocket, I've got one on my head. Why not use it, right?
It's spare capacity that's just sitting idle.
Spin this forward. So, like, what's next, right? If you had told me 2 years ago I'd be doing this interview with an AI glasses on my head, I'd be like, that's crazy. And yet here we are. So, what am I going to be carrying around next year? Where do you see this going?
2 years from now, what you will be doing is these glasses will be connected directly to the network. So maybe I'll use this opportunity to talk about 6G, which is something that's emerging now as an AI native technology. And one of the things that's happening over there is that as a networking technology, it's both communications and sensing. The sensing portion of it provides context across the entire network. You have network autonomy, autonomous networks that are constantly running monitoring the KPIs and optimizing the network. Similarly, the devices get far more capable in terms of what they can do locally versus also working in tandem with edge cloud and into the data centers.
So more of that data and information gets pulled to where I am at the moment.
And it goes back and forth. Because one of the things is that when you think about it right now, most of our use cases are very human driven. You ask a question to a chatbot. You specifically prompt something. But if you actually think in terms of agents which are running in your devices, the data transfer is occurring all the time in the background, regardless of what you are actually doing. And at that point in time, it becomes very important to realize that you don't want to actually send all the data to the cloud all the time. The relevant data, absolutely. And then there's a lot of other processing that can occur in the network.
Become more of a living partner with me instead of something I just go to.
You take it for granted, and yes, it works in conjunction with you.
All right, well, I'll see you maybe here next year. We'll see what kind of glasses I'm wearing. Before we get the hook here, we got to end on one fun thing, though. First, I got to take a picture with these so I can put them online. Hold on.
Okay.
All right, there we go. All right. But let's end on one fun Davos thing. This is not your first Davos. It's the Davos regular. We're just getting into the thick of things here. What do you love most about Davos? What's your hack for surviving the week?
I love walking around. I think that's the one thing that I like in Davos. We don't do a whole lot of that in Southern California. What I don't like is I have to constantly reminding myself to hydrate. That's the one thing that I have to remember. All
right, we'll grab a glass of water when we're done with here. Durga, thank you so much for being here. Huge thanks to Qualcomm for making this entire week possible.